Hey guys, Sabri Subi here, and welcome to this module of Quantum Growth called the 8-Figure Samurai Sword Sales Script Walkthrough. And in this module, I'm going to be taking you step by step through my 8-Figure Samurai Sword Sales Script and showing you how to customize it for your own business and the products and services that you sell. And let me just start by saying that this script is incredibly powerful, and it is derived from over 17 years of selling over the phone and selling everything that you can imagine in 3 different continents at every single price point. I've personally sold for myself well over $20 million worth of goods and services over the telephone exclusively, and I've helped thousands of businesses apply this script to their own business and services, and really as a result have seen them increase their sales by 200 and 300% by making no other shift in their business other than implementing this sales script for dealing with leads. And while it's not an absolute glove fit and just a perfect fit for every single type of consulting business, it is the closest thing that there is. And I have perfected this from almost 2 decades of being in the trenches selling over the phone. And really like a samurai sword, I have gone through the laborious process of hammering out and folding back the metal on itself and really hammering out any imperfections and iterating it over the years to really forge the strongest and the sharpest script possible. And, this thing is highly guarded. I've had employees try to steal it. I've had people basically completely rip this off. I've seen, copies of it online and very close modifications to it online. But this has been something that I have really tried and perfected over the years. And I've learned by trial and error and learning what works and what doesn't work. Everything that I talk about on the subject of sales hasn't been forged by me watching YouTube videos and reading books or any of that kind of stuff. Sure, I've read books and whatnot, but everything that you hear from me is from absolutely hardcore, no bullshit in the trenches experience. I've done this stuff. I'm not just talking about it, and I haven't been someone that's literally done this for multiple years, if not decades. So yeah, I'm really excited to be walking you through this and showing you every single nuance of it. And I'm going to give a copy of it to you. And I'm going to walk you through today how to edit this thing and how to apply it specifically to your own business. So let's get stuck in. All right, so here we are, the 8-Figure Samurai Sword Sales Script. Now, this is a Google Doc, and you have a link to this in the resources section of this module. So let's just get stuck into this thing. So we start off with laying the groundwork, and it's critical that you take 10 minutes before every call to get into the right state and the right mindset to carry out the call as effectively as possible. And I call this getting into peak level 10 state. And you don't want to rush onto the call with no preparation and carry all the emotions and franticness that could be going on in your day-to-day life onto the call, because a sales call is a transfer of emotions. And you really want to make sure that you are going into that thing in the right state and with a clear slate, and you're really not bringing anything else that's going on in your life onto the call. In terms of mindset, so getting into state and the right state of mind is absolutely critical. I've seen this thing derail sales calls from the very, very get-go if you've got some frustrations built up or any of that kind of stuff, and you could blow a really big deal. So you don't want to do that. You want to set aside whatever's happening in your life and get centered before jumping onto the call. And a great way to do that is by doing push-ups or star jumps or some body weight squats to get the blood flowing and shake up your state, because that's the best way is to have some kind of motion, push-ups, table tennis, whatever it might be. Then what you want to do is you want to take some deep breaths. You want to close your eyes and you want to get focused. And you want to visualize a fantastic call, and you want to visualize the close. You don't want to be like, oh, this person's going to say no because the last person said no, and have all that stuff. You just want to center yourself, take some deep breaths, and really get focused on having a really, really good call. And you want to, outside of the mindset piece, in terms of preparing for the call, you want to ensure that you are in a quiet room free from distractions. And you don't want all this other like noise coming in and interrupting you. If you're on a sales floor, then you're just going to have to basically give into that and just get really focused in your mind. You want to use a hands-free headset to make the call, ideally using VoIP. So like you don't get incoming text or other calls, and they're not going to be distracting you. You know, I see people like, you know, making sales calls on their mobiles. I don't think it's the best way to go, because if you are getting notifications and if people are texting you, or there's like, you know, you've got call waiting, that takes you out of the zone. And you might be expecting a call from like a doctor or your loved one or whoever it might be. And it just derails you if you're checking those notifications. And you really want to keep your mobile phone out of reach and eliminate any distractions. You don't want to be on your mobile phone, on Instagram, looking at stuff when the prospect is telling you things. And it sounds ridiculous, but people, they get so comfortable in the pitch that they feel like they don't need to give it their undivided attention. And that's just not the truth. So you want to record all of your calls and listen to them and analyze them every single day and every single week. So whatever tech that you choose to make your sales calls off, you have to make sure that you're able to record them. Otherwise, you're never going to get great at this if you can't review the calls. You want to turn off your computer or close the laptop and all tabs to eliminate any and all distractions. Focus is key. And you want to have a pen and pad ready to take notes, not a computer, because a computer is just going to lead to more distractions again. We're trying to streamline things here and really center the focus point. You want to print out like the survey questions that they filled out when they booked in the strategy session with you to use as a reference. And you might be, you want to run a paperless office. In that case, you're just going to have just that tab open on your computer, but you need to have those notes with you. You got to have the script printed out in front of you, this 8-figure samurai sword sales script, once you modify it like we're going to be doing in today's training, along with any other information that you could find out about the prospect. So before jumping on the phone with them, you want to be Googling them, see if you got to press, if anything's happening with that business that you're looking to pitch, or if it's an individual, you can Google them, go just check them out a little bit and see if there's anything that you need to know about them that's going to help support you in having a fantastic call. You want to have their phone number in front of you or inputted directly into your VoIP or your phone so you can call on time down to the second. This is really important. I get very upset with my sales team when they're late for calls. Like, don't do it. It's not tolerated. You have to be on time on call. And my team are very good with that after a lot of drilling it into them, that it's like, it's not okay to call someone 1 minute late. Like, you have to respect their time, call them down to the second. As soon as that thing hits 1 p.m., bang, you dial that number. The other little tip is you want to add that person on LinkedIn the day before the call and let them know that you're really looking forward to the call with them. Because one thing that you will notice, if you've been in sales for any time, is that like show up rates are in the toilet across the board, across all industries. You're seeing that it's harder and harder to get that prospect on the actual telephone. So anything that you can do that supports that, you want to be doing it. That's why, we have email reminders and all that kind of stuff that go out, and text messages in the funnel to make sure that people show up. But again, you need to just go over and above. So add them on Facebook or add them on LinkedIn and let them know that you're excited to talk to them, because that's just going to dramatically improve the show up rate, and that's going to lead you to winning more clients. So that's the preparation. Now let's look at part one, which is all about building rapport. So you want to start the call with a warm and friendly tone, and you really want to establish from the outset that this isn't going to be an aggressive, high-pressure sales pitch. And you're going to hear me continually refer to this high-pressure sales pitch. And the reason that I say that is there's this whole community out there of like high ticket closers and pressure salespeople, and just like people that have just been taught all the wrong things, and they're out there in the marketplace and they're taking sales calls and they're really providing people a horrible experience. And what we want to make sure that we do is that we stand out head and shoulders above all of those people. And we want to let them know from the outset that this call is going to be radically different to any of those experiences that they've had in the past. So the way that we do that is we warm up the call. So it's a friendly, calm opening. Hey, Mike, it's Sabri here calling for our 2 p.m. appointment. How's your morning or your afternoon going? Yeah, it's going good. How are you, Sabri? Look, I'm doing fantastic. Look, I've already got my workout in for the day, or I've had a productive day so far. Or, if you want to, after you've kind of gone through that small chit chat, it's going, oh, look, I noticed your number was 07 or 02 or wherever the country code is or the area code. Where are you calling in from? Where am I calling today? Where are you located? And then just like, if you know anything about the area, say something about the area. If you don't, ask them, like, what's it like in Cape Town? What month of the year is it in terms of the weather there? What's the weather cycle like? Blah, 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 right? And whatever it is that they tell you, you want to take a little bit of moment to kind of ask them a little bit, get to know them, build some rapport, because you're going into this call without ever speaking to this person before. And you want to write down whatever they tell you as you're listening. And as you get to know them, you want to take notes so you can refer back to them later on in the call. And so the tips around this is take notes, get them to elaborate when you can. So dive and probe, find out their interests and their likes without going too deep. And you don't want to seem like it's not genuine. You don't want to ask them really, like I see salespeople asking people incredibly personal information. It's like you have no right in asking that question, and you're making the prospect feel incredibly uncomfortable. You want to use humor when possible. Try and find a common ground. And people prefer to buy from people that are similar to them. And so if you're speaking to somebody and they're located in a town and you've been to that town, you want to look for any common ground that you can connect to, because it's going to help you. So that's really part one. Now we'll move on to part two, which is setting up the call and taking control. And we must take control and assert through your tone and actions that you will be leading this call. And he who has control wins. And you really need to, control must be taken even by force. And I know that sounds very, very strong. So let me just elaborate and double click on that and let you, understand what it is that I mean when I say that. So sometimes you can get onto a call and, you're speaking to someone who thinks that they're in control and that they're going to tell you how this call is going to go. So they'll jump on the call. They'll be like, all right, yeah. So tell me a little bit about you guys. Why should we choose you? We're looking at around a few other companies right now. Why should we choose you? Right? That is them trying to be in control. And that is someone that's either trying to be an alpha male, or they just think that you need to grovel to them because you need their business, or whatever it might be. And that we just need to let them know straight from the outset that that's not going to be happening. We're going to be confident, we're going to be assertive and authoritative, professional, and we are going to be the expert, right, in our field. And we are going to be the one that is in control, right? We are the captain. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to let them know that they are in the competent hands of a master. And then we want to set the stage and the expectations of how this call is going to go so they can understand, and they can really understand what to expect moving forward. Because what you also must understand is, for these people, they don't know how this call is going to go. They don't know if they need to do most of the talking. They don't know if you're going to do most of the talking. So instead of just leaving that to their imagination, we are really going to just set that expectations from the get-go. And so after we've gone through all of the small talk and whatnot, we're just going to say, okay, great. Well, let's jump right into the call if that's okay with you. And then they're going to say, fantastic. And then this is the exact script of how we take control. So Mike, how this call will go is I'll start off by asking you some questions about your business and your goals, or any other challenges that you're having, and the strategy session application that you filled out. Then we can determine if it sounds like we can help you with what you are looking to achieve and if we're a good fit. I do this by first asking a few questions about your business, or about your weight loss goals, or about your financial goals, what you've previously done, what you want to do in the future, and ultimately what you're looking to accomplish or get help with. Then if this seems like we're a good fit and we can help you out, I can explain what we do and how it works, and if not, I'll let you know that too. Either way, you'll get some value out of today's call. Does this sound fair enough? Sound good? And then you're getting commitment. So you're letting them know that if they've got any questions, we're going to be answering them in the call. So if someone jumps on the call with you and they're like, oh yeah, tell me about how great you are and why we should do business with you, you're going to be like, well, Mike, basically how this call is going to go is I'm going to start off by asking you some questions about your business and about your goals or any of the challenges that you're having. So that you just redirect them, right? We're taking control by letting them know what's going to be happening on this call. And so then we go over this. Now, we have to get their acknowledgement at this point before moving forward. And most people just want to rush straight into the pitch. We're not about that. We're about finding out whether or not we have obedience and whether or not this person understands how this call is going to go. This is not just opened up for Q&A, question and answering straight from the get-go. We are going to be qualifying them to find out whether or not we want to work with them. And then, and only then, if they are a right fit, we are going to explain what we do and if we can help them get to where they want to go. It's dramatically different, and it sets the expectations from the get-go with the frame of this is not a sales call. This is a diagnosis. I am simply here to find out whether or not we can help you solve the problem that you're experiencing. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to first understand what the problem is that you are experiencing. Okay? So then, if you're asked any questions about price or what you have to offer, you politely let them know that you can address these questions at the end of the call if they're a right fit for your program, your agency, your business, your financial consultancy. That's how it works. You are qualifying them to allow to purchase from you. You are making it clear that you do not work with anybody or everyone, changing the psychology of the sale and avoiding the usual cat and mouse sales process. And this is subtle, but it's incredibly powerful. And this is a non-negotiable. You cannot modify this section of the pitch. Now, when it comes to questions, always pause after questions. Let them speak. Even after you believe that they've finished their answer, you want to stay quiet for another 2 seconds. And this does two things. So one, it allows you to ensure that they have 100% finished what it is that they are saying and that there is nothing else for them to say that kind of makes them, it kind of allows them to second guess what they're going to say, right? And it keeps them spewing more things up. And this process, it unearths some real gold if you just allow it and just be comfortable being in a little bit of silence and not feeling the need to just rush in and get on with your sales pitch. And two, it demonstrates that you're listening to them and not simply trying to sell your agenda. You are really listening and prescribing a solution based on what they have told you, which is infinitely more powerful than you just trying to sell them some crap, okay? I'm not saying that your services are crap, but I'm just saying that that's what most people do. They jump on the call and the only thing that they want to do is sell that prospect something. They don't want to listen to them. They just blindly try to fit whatever their little widget is to what the need is that that prospect has. Now, this brings us to part 3, which is to find your prospect's why. And it's incredibly important that you find the real reason why they booked in this call with you. What is their why? And the way that we do that is by saying, so Mike, tell me what you think your biggest motivation was for taking the time out of your day and scheduling this call with me. That's an incredibly, incredibly powerful question. Because it allows you just to cut straight through to the heart of the matter and not pussyfoot around and try to go into anything else, but just come right out and say, what was your biggest motivation for taking the time out to speak with me today? Now, if you get the real reason and not some fluff like, oh, I just wanted to see what you guys had on offer, then that's great. But if not, and most likely not, you're going to need to probe and dig a little bit deeper. And once you get their true deepest desire, you really just want to keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper by asking them open-ended questions. So saying, okay, cool, well, could you tell me a little bit more about that? What do you mean? What exactly are you referring to when you say that? So an example, well, look, I'm just really looking to get in better shape and to lose a bit of weight. Okay, great. Well, could you tell me a little bit more about that? What do you mean? Like, what exactly are you referring to when you say lose a little bit of weight? How much weight are we talking about here? Or why do you believe, like, if they're looking to grow their business? Okay, great. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? What do you mean? Like, what exactly are you referring to when you say that? Oh, look, we just definitely need to get more leads. Like, I just feel like our sales team doesn't have enough leads right now. And okay, so why do you believe that you're experiencing this? Okay, so why is this important to you? What have you done previously to try and fix this? How long has this been going on for? What has prompted you to look at this now? What isn't working and why? Why do you feel that you haven't achieved this yet? These are all great open-ended questions that gets the prospect telling you what's really going on. Sometimes somebody wants to grow their business is not just because they want more money. There's a lot of other issues going on there. Or there's something else that's driving that want or that need to make more money. And that's the way that we do it. And it's really important to not skip over this. We want to labor this section and really make sure that you fully understand what their deepest desire is. Now that brings us to part 4, which is the assessment. And this is where you get a read on where they are at and how sophisticated they are as a buyer and the level of the extent of their problem. So I have also taken a look at the survey you filled out and your website. I've looked at your competitors. To kick things off, could you please give me a brief rundown on your business, on your situation? Okay, so in the first instance, I'm going to run you through, like, if you were like a marketing agency or if you were helping businesses grow or whatever it might be. And you'd say, like, what are you selling? How are you currently getting customers? What is your sales process from generating leads to actually getting paying clients? How does your pricing work? How much money are you making per month with the business right now? So that's a business case study. Now let's look at it if you were like a wellness or a weight loss coach. What are you currently doing to lose weight? How often are you exercising? What is your lifestyle like? How many hours do you sleep per night? What is your diet like? How much do you weigh right now? And how much are you looking to lose? Yeah. So that's just another example. All we're doing is we're really trying to kind of get the assessment and to buckle it down and answer these questions by understanding, are we able to help this person? What are you currently doing for work? How do you enjoy doing it? How much are you currently earning with this job? Do you have any savings? Why do you want to earn more money? What aren't you able to do right now that this would enable? This is a question, say for instance, if you are in property investment or wealth building or business opportunity or whatever it might be, and asking questions like, why do you want to earn more money? Like, what aren't you able to do right now that earning this kind of money would enable? And it gives you a really good understanding and a read of what the motivations are for that prospect of why that they are wanting to achieve this. Or how much money do you need to make in order to do that? And you must get a dollar figure or a weight loss target or a savings, like a monetary number here per month or overall as a total before moving forward. And this specific data, it sets a baseline that this is really critical for you, right? When you're speaking to someone, if you don't have a baseline of what you're operating on, then it's very difficult to be able to bridge a gap and make a sale. Because if you're unable to do that, then you're unable to link your product or your service to the prospect and what it is that they want and what the target is, what is it that they're shooting for, right? And it's absolutely critical that you get this step right. Now, once we know what that baseline is, now we want to start further qualifying them, getting a bit more of a further read on how sophisticated this prospect is. And we do this by asking questions. Say, for instance, we're still in like the marketing business growth angle. You know, who is your ideal client or your dream buyer? What products or services do you offer that accounts for 80% of your revenue? You know, the whole Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule. Why do people buy your products or services? What problem are you trying to solve in the business or personal lives to motivate your prospects to buy? Do you know how much it's roughly costing you to acquire a new client? How do you have a proven process in place to get new customers on demand? Do you feel comfortable and confident relying on this as the primary way to get clients? Or let's go back to the weight loss angle. Niche, I should say. What is your ideal weight? Have you ever weighed that before? How long ago was this? What were you doing then that you're not doing now? What's motivating you to get this solved right now? Why do you feel that you've struggled to lose weight in the past? Do you feel comfortable and confident with relying on your current approach to losing weight? And then the prospect is either going to say yes or no to that. And if they say yes, then you better get off that call because they're happy with everything. So then what you could say to them, well, what's motivated you then to speak with me if you're happy with how everything's going? Do you see how it's just about getting to what the why is and really looking at how we can help them? And so step 5 is really figuring out where they want to go. Okay. So get your prospect to tell you about where they want to go and what their desired outcome looks like. Then find out their why and get them to picture exactly what life would be like after they get there. And one way that we do this is by saying, Mike, if we were having this conversation 12 months from today and you were looking back at the last 12 months, what would need to happen for you to be happy with the results that you've achieved? And I learned this question from a book called The Dan Sullivan Question, and it's really, really powerful. And it just allows you to see exactly what that dream come true experience would be for your prospect. And here are some other variations of it. Mike, what are you looking to achieve in the next 12 months? What would that do for you? Where do you want to be? What is it that you want to achieve? What revenue do you want your business to be doing? How much weight do you want to have lost? How much do you want to weigh right now? What would that do for your lifestyle? How much do you want to weigh? If you're selling a weight loss program, that's going to be obviously a key one. How much money do you want to save if you're a financial planner? What would your relationship look like with your spouse? Your relationship advice. And you want to get an answer to these questions, and you want to let them tell you exactly all the things that they're trying to achieve, and you want to get really specific figures before moving forward with the call. If you don't know what the outcome is that this person is shooting for, then you're not going to be able to help them get there, okay? And, then after you've kind of got that baseline, you want to start asking them, okay, well, what is your motivation for wanting to get your business to $1 million in revenue? Or what is your motivation for wanting to lose 23 kilos? Why so specific here, Mike? And then the real answer is going to come about. How would these change? How would these change things for your business or for your life if you achieved X? Okay, so when you make more money and you have more time, what are you going to be doing with that? Well, what is the real reason that you want to do this, Mike? And it's important to get a temperature checked on exactly where they want to go and what they want to achieve and why they want to achieve it. And then, helping them to kind of paint that vivid picture of what this exactly would feel like. And if they are undershooting or lowballing you, then you can encourage them to expand their goals and to their goals to even be higher or to be bigger than what it is that they're currently saying. And you want to get their big why on why it is that they want to achieve that and find out their ultimate motivation. And you want to dig really deep and get them to talk about things that maybe they usually wouldn't talk about. And is it because they don't like their job? Why don't they like their job? What is it making them feel like? It's because, if they want to spend more time, with their kids, or if they want to earn more money because they want to go away on holiday, or if they need to lose weight so they can really increase their energy and their vitality so that they simply don't sit on the couch and watch Netflix when they get home. And they feel really terrible that they're meant to be a father, but they're so exhausted when they get home, or they're meant to be a mother when they get home, they don't feel like cooking, or whatever it might be. That's where we want to really dive into what is the motivation. And you don't want to stop there. You want to keep probing, diving and probing, diving and probing. Ask them, okay, cool. Tell me a little bit more about that. Anything you can say to get them to keep talking. And we're not going to just tolerate surface level answers here. We need to know the real reasons and their ultimate motivations. So they're like, yeah, I just want to make more money. Just like making more money. I kind of like money. Okay, why? Why, Mike? Why do you want to earn money? Oh, because, then I can provide, for my family better, and I can take them for a holiday to Fiji. Oh, okay. And then so you're starting to get to, they don't just want money. They want more money to help their family. because they feel like a failure. They can't provide these things. And you want to understand what it is. We need to know their ultimate motivation. And your goal is really to get them to open up emotionally and keep talking about their situations and about their lives. And one important thing to note here is that this is one of the most important parts and ammunition to bring it all together for the close. The emotional part is what is a big reason to get people to kind of buy, because essentially people they're gonna buy emotionally and justify off logic, and you do need to understand what the motivations are of that person is. Whether you're selling to a company or you're selling to an individual, ultimately you're still selling a human. We're not going to be doing like a crazy emotional sale. We're still going to be really strongly closing with logic, but it is really important for you to get a clear picture of exactly where it is that your prospect wants to go and why. So then on to part 6, which is what we call the admission. And I'll just jump straight into this one. Okay, Mike, so I understand that you ultimately want to get more clients. So why do you think that you haven't been able to accomplish this yet with what you've been doing? Oh, I haven't been getting enough leads. Okay, well, what are you doing specifically to address this? Or like I haven't been able to lose weight. Okay, cool. Well, what are you doing specifically to lose weight and to address this issue of you wanting to lose more weight? And after enough probing, you'll eventually get to the claim of not having enough resources, i.e. skill or money or time. I just want to get more clients in my business, but I just don't know how to generate leads online. I find it really challenging. Or I just want to lose weight, but I don't have any time to do workouts. I can't do any cardio. I'm just so busy with work right now. And after enough diving and probing, you're going to basically arrive at the prospect having a claim of a lack of resources, okay? And it will always be in the time of money or time, or their life is so busy or whatever it might be. And they're gonna say, well, I haven't had enough of X, which is the claim of not having enough resources. If I just had more money, or if I just had more time, or if I just knew how to do online marketing, things would just be great. Right? I'm the best at what I do. I'm a great financial planner. I really turn people's finances around. I just want to do this, but I don't want to do all this marketing stuff. Or, I really I know what to eat, but I just don't know what to exercise. Or I'm really good with my workouts. I definitely get my workout in every day, but I have no idea what to eat. And whatever it is, you want to get them to express everything that they've been doing. I've been doing paleo and keto. I've been doing intermittent fasting, or I've been doing this, or I've done some SEO and I've done some digital marketing and Google ads. I tried that and even did some Facebook ads, but that didn't work either for me. And just get all their frustrations out and get all their challenges just out of them and unearth everything that has not worked for them, right? The stuff that hasn't worked, the stuff that has, and then why, and really just keep diving and probing. And you really want to get them to admit that everything that they have tried simply isn't working, and that they do need a proven system or a roadmap or a program from someone that has done it. You've just been there and done that, and they've had enough of doing it by themselves, and that they want help. And why this is important for you to figure out and really getting to the bottom of it is, if you don't understand, if you don't get them to understand, I should say, that they do need help, then they're never ever going to bridge that gap. So some stuff that we want to say to them is why is this important for you to figure out and get working? Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is not really important to you, and 10 that this is extremely important to you, how important is this to you? What does this mean if you don't get this done? What does it represent? And what does it look like for you if you stay the weight that you are, or worse, you put on more weight, or if you don't get this whole sales and marketing stuff sorted in your business? Now, I want to note here that if it's not important to the prospect, then you need to drop the call. Right? If they don't have a burning desire to solve this problem, then it does not matter what you are charging or what it is that you are selling, they are not going to buy. And the way that you deal with that is by saying, okay, so what you're telling me is that what you're currently doing is not working, right? And it's time for you to finally do something about it. And if they say, oh no, like it is working and I just wanted to see what you've got, you need to get some kind of commitment, and you would need to say to them at that stage, well, like it's not working because you're getting 2 leads per month and you said that you want to get to 30 leads per month. So do you see how there's a huge gap of 28 leads per month that you're missing out on, and what you're currently doing is not the vehicle that's going to get you to the 30 leads that you want to get to per month? Does that not make sense? Oh yeah, I guess it is. Or the same thing with weight loss or whatever it might be. Then we move on to part 7, which is delivering the value. And after you've established the burning problem that they're trying to solve, this is the part of the call where you want to transition into the value that you promised them up front in your Godfather offer before they even jumped on the telephone with you. And once we asked all of our questions and we've got all their answers, we simply help them formulate a plan based on their answers. And once we find out where it is that they want to go and where it is that they want to be, and we've gone through all of these questions and we've got all the stuff that we can from them, all the raw materials, so to speak, we now want to build them a bridge to get them from where it is that they are to where they want to go. And we do that by forming a plan. And we want to recap their personal motivators for making money / losing weight. Okay, Mike, so based on what we've discussed, you're currently at $100,000 per month in revenue. And what your experience is you're not getting enough leads coming into the business. And you really want to be getting like 30 hot leads coming into your business every month. And so you can basically convert more of those leads into clients and get to the $200,000 per month. And I can definitely help you with that. Now, would you like me to show you a little bit of how we could do that and what would be involved? The answer should be yes. And this is the single most important part. And it's where all sales presentations generally fall short. You want to prove to your prospect that you can help them by actually helping them, not simply telling them what you do and how much you charge. And this is where I see so many people fall over. They really believe that all you need to do is get on a call and do a diagnosis and then just go straight for the jugular and pressure sell this person. It's just the wrong way to go about it. And the reason that I say that is that used to work, but it's becoming increasingly less effective. And that's because there are so many people out there generating leads, and there are so many people going through that whole process, and the dynamics of the sale has changed. Okay, and you can't just jump on a call and expect people to believe that you have the solution to their problem without proving to them that you do. Because all the claims that you're going to be making on the call, they've already been told all of that stuff. So it's as easy as just telling them and them going for the close, then everything would already be working. But the reality of it is that the market is completely jaded, and they've been told everything before, and nothing is new to them. And they don't want somebody just to tell them that they can help them. They want them to actually help them and prove to them. And this just means that once you do this, you just don't need to do all the typical high pressure closing shit, because you've delivered value and you've proved to them you can help them by actually helping them. And what you must remember is that no one likes to be sold to, but everyone likes to buy. So you want to get your prospects extremely excited by solving a part of their problem on the call, or at least making it, very clear on how you can help them solve it. So ultimately, you want to leave your prospects better than when you found them. Meaning, regardless of whether or not they choose to buy, you want to deliver value and you want to create goodwill. And this will make them thank you at the end of the call. This is awesome. Really enjoyed this. What are the next steps? How do we get going? So remember that skepticism is rampant, and your prospects have likely been told everything that you're telling them before, but haven't achieved the result that they want. By following this process and delivering value, you prove that you are different from everybody else in your marketplace by giving them some results in advance. And how you do this is you typically splinter off a part of your offering and then you deliver it to them there on the call, hashing out a problem and demonstrating how you can help them solve that problem. And this part of the script you're going to have to write out for yourself because everybody's service is different. But an example would be if you are a PR consultant and you could perhaps show your prospect a site like Haro, which is Help a Reporter Out, and that shows them how to connect with hundreds of journalists and that are actively looking for experts and businesses to feature and to weigh in on articles. And the pessimist immediately would say, well, why wouldn't they just go and do that then, Sabri, and not hire me as a PR consultant? Well, the reality of it is that they're not going to have the time to do that. And for you showing them that sites like this exist, they begin to be able to see what's possible and that you're going to manage this whole process. You're giving them some results in advance. Or you might be a digital marketing consultant. And if that's the case, you could show them how much search traffic that there are for certain keywords on Google, or where their competitors are getting traffic from and how much traffic that they are generating using sites like SEMrush or SimilarWeb. Or you might be a digital marketing expert, providing Facebook ads. You can go, what are some of your biggest competitors? You could go onto Facebook ads library and start to pull up ads from their competitors and show them what their competitors are doing, or open the audience insight tool and show them how many people are in their audience for their dream buyer's age bracket for their avatar. Okay. Or in another example might be you're a financial planner and you can show them how to offset their tax by setting up a family trust, or use a credit check service software live on the call to see if they could be getting a better deal on their mortgage or on their home loan. You want to get creative and think about unique ways that you could deliver value and show them live on the call that you can help them by actually helping them. It's an incredibly powerful strategy. It does take a little bit of creativity, but this strategy is almost like magic and it makes people buy with as little resistance as possible. And another thing to note is that we're not trying to solve their entire problem on the call, just some of the symptoms to prove that we're not like everybody else. I'm not talking about spending like an hour, 2 or 3 hours on the phone with them and solving all their problems, because then there wouldn't be a need for what we do. It's about going, okay, cool, you're experiencing this, you need some more leads. Well, let me just show you what your competitors are doing to get leads. This is what they're doing. And just diving into what that looks like. And once you've delivered your value piece, now it's time to gain commitment. We've delivered our value. Now let's segue into part 8, which is getting the commitment. Now, it's important thing that if you've identified on the call that the prospect is not a good fit, then you politely need to let them know. And even if they want to buy, do not sell them, because it simply causes you much more headaches in the long run, and it's just going to drain the life out of you. Additionally, you can't build a business based off working with clients that just aren't a great fit. And when you apply this funnel, you're going to have enough people to speak to that are a great fit, that you don't need to be in that desperation mode where you're just going to sell to anyone that's willing to buy from you. And the way that we segue into this is we want to say, so Mike, based on what you've told me, it doesn't sound like we're going to be a great fit for helping you lose weight or for helping you grow your business, because you really need to have a high ticket product or service in order for our services to work. Or you really need to be able to commit to at least doing 4 workouts a week. And from what you've told me, it just doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Okay. And then we just politely let them off the call. Now, if they are a great fit, this is where you gain commitment, and then we segue into your offering. Okay, Mike, so how did you enjoy that? So I think that we could both agree that there is a huge opportunity here for you to really grow your business based on what we're seeing even your competitors are doing. Okay, Mike, how did you enjoy that? I think that we could both agree that there is a huge opportunity for you to finally lose this weight that you want to and keep it off for good. Does this sound like the kind of help that you're looking for? Would you like to know more about the specifics? Okay, Mike, it looks like you'd be a great fit for my program or service. Do you want to hear about how all of that works? There's multiple ways that we can use them. Whatever you feel is more pertinent to your product or service, you just want to customize it and away you go. Now we move on to part 9, which is the prescription. And this section of the script is simply to tell them what you've got to offer and what your program can help them achieve. And what you want to do is you want to tailor this specifically to the problems that they told you that they were having earlier in the call. That's why it's key to get that info. And then we position it as exactly what it is that they need, because it is. We're only selling people that we're a great fit for. So you're not doing something manipulative and dishonest here. You're listening to all of their problems that they're experiencing, and only if what we have is going to help them solve the problems, then we're going to position it as exactly what it is that they need to solve the problems, because it really is. And notice this is the first time in the call that you're starting to talk about what you have to offer. We're at part 9, and this is the very, very first time that we're even talking about what it is that we've got to sell. And this is just completely dramatically different to how everybody else is selling. You think about what most people do. They get on the call and they want to rush into the sales part of it. And that's all they want to do, is talk about how great they are as a company and how great their products and services are. And that's not what we want to do, because nowhere at any point during our conversation have we told this person what we do. Instead, now we're going to start prescribing solutions to help them on their way to what their desired outcome looks like. Naturally, you're going to have to write this part of your script, because everybody's service and offer is different. Okay. And we're going to start once you start customizing this thing down, you want to write it out and you want to read it aloud, and you want to ensure that it rolls off your tongue. And then you want to practice saying it over and over and over and over and over again, right? Rehearsal is really the key to get an absolute perfect delivery on this part. And this overview should be no more than 2 minutes. I don't want it waffling on for 10, 15 minutes. I don't care how complex it is what it is that you sell. You need to reduce it down to something that's going to be very simple, and it must not be more than a 2-minute overview. And I can't stress this enough. You do not want to waffle on and work yourself into a frenzy and just start rattling off all of the bells and the whistles and the features and everything of what it is that you offer. You want to keep it tight and aligned to really helping them solve that problem. Now, next, what you want to do is you need to be really prepared in delivering this overview and applying it specifically to each prospect's pains, fears, hopes, and dreams to make the prospect feel that your offering is exactly what it is that they have been looking for. And you want to use the same words that they have used to describe their problems and their goals. And you want to then provide the features and finish with how these features of what your service delivery is, how they translate into the benefits for your prospect. And an example of that is you'd say, look, you're going to have predictability in your business. You're going to have more time. You're going to have more money and less stress and greater freedom and increased security, because you're going to know literally exactly how many leads that you're going to have coming into your business each and every day and each and every week and each and every month. Or you're going to have more energy. You're going to feel great, and you're going to be able to fit into those old pair of jeans that you've loved, that you've kept in your cupboard all this time, just waiting for the time where you're going to be in a position to fit back into that. So it's really important that you do translate all of what it is that you're selling into the benefits. Now, part 10 is a temperature check and a test close. So based on the prospect's tone and the involvement in the call, you should have a pretty good read of whether or not they're cold or they're warm or they're hot. So if you're saying things and they're like, yep, that sounds good, or they're like, they're giving you little cues, like they're agreeing with what you're saying, and that you're getting that interaction off them, that transfer of energy, then you kind of know where you're at. However, you still do want to do a temperature check and test close by asking the following. Okay, Mike, so based on what we've discussed, why do you feel that you would be a good fit for the program? Why do you feel that you would be a good fit for working together? Why do you think that you would be a good fit for this service? And this question is incredibly powerful, because it really turns the tables and it gets the prospect to start selling themselves on why they would be a good fit for you and why that they feel that they would be successful if they worked with you, with your services or with your program. And you want to bring them back to the present time. So you'd say, okay, Mike, so right now, you're at this amount of money or weight or savings in your bank account, and you'd like to get to this other amount. So what's the main reason that you feel is stopping you from reaching that goal? Okay. And inexperienced prospects, they need a little bit more teaching of the pain points, because they may not know what's truly getting in their way or holding them back because they're just too inexperienced. And you'd say like, okay, well, they might say something like, well, I just got started, so like I'm going to try it on my own. I'm going to try this whole Facebook ads thing by myself. I'm not sure, what the challenges might be. And in that case, then what you want to do is it's a great opportunity for you to share stories of other prospects or clients that you've worked with that have tried it on their own or have tried these other solutions, and they found that it's not as easy as it seems. And it's actually like walking across a minefield blindfolded, or it's going to take a lot more of their time and energy, and it's going to pull them away from the things that they really should be focusing on in order to get the results. And so, they might say like, we went from, month after month losing money or not losing weight or not learning. And this is where you're talking about that prospect, right? So you might be saying like, well, look, a lot of people that I speak to, they lose a lot of money in trying to master Facebook ads and they never get it working. And then they get into a position where they have to close their business. Or after speaking with thousands of people and frustrated, people of like them not losing weight. And, what I found is that I talk to people all the time going through the same issues that you're going through without having a proven process and framework or a blueprint in place. It can be an extremely long and expensive or painful or frustrating road ahead unless you know exactly what you're doing. That's just a way to kind of articulate and educate an inexperienced prospect and someone that hasn't been at trying to solve their problem for long enough. Then we'll move on to an experienced prospect. So, we'll give you more specifics on why they can't. So these guys are going to you're going to tell them like this, and then they're going to go like, well, the reason why I haven't been able to achieve that, Sabri, is I'm just having a really hard time scaling my Facebook ads and still maintaining my ROAS and my ROI. Or I'm having a hard time scaling my business because I just can't recruit like good talent and find people to deliver the work. Or I've been trying keto diets and I went on it, I went off it, I yo-yoed a little bit, I lost 4 kgs, but I just can't seem to lose any more, and I've been stuck at this now for probably about 8 weeks and I can't lose any more weight at all. The scales just aren't moving. Or I bought one investment property, but I just don't have enough equity in that home, and I don't know how to get the leverage and structure up the deal in order to buy a second one. Okay. And basically, then what you want to do is you want to remind them about how long that they've been dealing with these pain points. So you mentioned that you've been trying to buy a second investment property for some time. How long have you just owned the one? Or it's been 2 years. Okay. So you haven't bought any more investment properties in the last 2 years? No. Okay. And have you wanted to? Yes. Okay, cool. So you just haven't been able to because you haven't known exactly how to structure up the financing and get leverage. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Awesome. And ask them if not achieving their goals is affecting any other areas of their life. So, okay, cool. Well, from you not being able to buy another investment property over the last 2 years, how is that affecting other areas of your life? What's motivating you to actually go out and buy that? And then they're going to go out to spill the beans. And after we've got the juice, so to speak, we move forward with the following. Okay, so before I move forward, Mike, and I'll get to the financial investment and everything like that in a moment, I'd like to just first know, after hearing about what is available, what the benefits you'll receive, and how this is going to get you closer to buying your second investment property and, getting that help that you've really been looking for in terms of structuring up the deals and how to get leverage and how to get finances. It's just going to unlock a bunch of capital for you to go out there and secure your next property. Do you have any other questions or concerns that I haven't covered yet? Right? This is an opportunity for them to ask you a few questions. And then after they get those out, you want to address those. And then if they don't have anything, they might say, I just want to know about the money. Okay, so you're clear and you're comfortable with everything thus far, and you know how everything works. Yes. Okay, great. Other than the money, is there any other reason that this wouldn't make sense for you to go ahead and get started in this program today, Mark? Mike, or to get started with our services or start working together, whatever the vernacular is. Okay, so if the money makes sense, we can get you set up and reaching your goals immediately. Yep, that's it. It's just the money. Just need to know about the money. Awesome. Because you don't want to get onto the money piece and then have them open in this huge can of worms and have all these other questions. When you get to the money piece, you want it to be almost binary in terms of like they understand, are on board with everything else. It's just the money piece. Now, after done that, we move on to part 11, which is the options close. And this is where you want to state your price because you've gone through and you've answered any of those questions, right? You want to state your price and what your service costs. And you want to state it with pride and conviction. Do not hesitate for a second and do not pause and do not try to get confirmation on that price. We're not looking for feedback on the price here. We're not stating the price and then being really quiet and then just leaving it, okay? You want to, whatever the price is, you got to be 100% confident. We charge $2,000 per month and it's a $4,000 setup to get going with us. And I see so many people just crumble at this part of the pitch. They're like, and we charge $2,000. No, you got to say it with pride and conviction. I charge $2,000 a month and there's a 4K setup to get going. And you must use the word investment, not costs, right? So there's a 4K investment to get going today, right? And really, after you've stated your price, what you need to know that this is a run-on sentence and you want to go on to further explain what the pricing options are. And while their brain is still kind of processing and justifying in the background that price, because you've built the value up really high right now, if you just skim on from the price and you don't leave it up for questioning and there's not a big pause there, their brain is already going to start crunching that data and start justifying and seeing how they can make this make sense. And when it comes to pricing, what I will say is that you should build 2 or 3 different options into your offer with 3 different price points. The first one you want to have is a higher level package. Now, this should be a premium price point and include all the bells and whistles that your services could have. Only around 10% of people who buy will take you up on this option. However, it serves very well as what we call comparative-based pricing because you're throwing a huge number out there, and then that's going to make the other packages look very attractive. And it's also going to be for 10% of your market that wants everything. They want to get their results in the quickest amount of time. They want to have the best service and the best coverage and all that kind of stuff. Now, the second one is the mid-level package, and this should be the offer that you lead with in your script. And it should be a bit more expensive than the amount that you're actually trying to command, because typically 30 to 40% of people who buy will choose this package. And this will increase your LTV, your lifetime customer value. And it's very, very key. And then you want to have the light package, and this package is what you are counting on people on taking. So you shouldn't be really let down when they take the light package. This is what you should engineer your pricing, that you would still be happy with them taking the light package. And it's still very attractive, but just doesn't include some of the nice to haves and the bells and whistles. And this naturally will be the cheapest option and generally the most attractive for most people because it's naturally the cheapest. But do not sell this package by default. Always sell the middle or the higher level package. And you have this to fall back on if needed. And if they're like, oh, they ask about the light package, you tell them, but you quickly gravitate back up to the middle level package. And another thing to note is that all the packages that you sell must have a $1,000 or $2,000 setup fee. And you can use this setup fee to create urgency and to move quickly. And the way that you do that by saying, so Mike, when it comes to the investment to get started today and finally buy that second investment property, finally grow your business, finally lose the weight, we've got 3 options. Or another way to word it, well, Mike, I have 3 different packages to choose for your investment today. And then you go on to briefly explain what those packages are. And then after you've done that, you say, which package do you think would be the best for you? If they select the highest package, then great. If they select the middle package, test the water on the higher package. If they select the light package, then we say, well, Mike, based on everything that you've told me, I think that the middle package would be the best suited for what it is that you are trying to achieve. And then you want to go on to explain the benefits over the light package. Now, you don't want to really alienate them if they're really bullish on the light package, and you can always just fall back on that light package, right? It's always going to be there, and we're always going to be counting on people wanting to take that. And anybody that takes the middle or the higher package, that's just a bonus for us, okay? And it's also a bonus for the client because they are going to get better results. It has to be genuine. It can't be the same package at just a different price point, because you're going to have a hard time, one, building the value, and that's not ethical. That's not how we operate. I don't want to help anyone grow a business that's doing unethical shit like that. So it needs to be of genuine value, so it can help your prospect get to their outcome quicker than if they were to just take the light package. And when I say that like all of them must have a $1,000 or $2,000 setup fee, this is for two reasons, okay? So the first thing is that this offsets the customer acquisition cost. And if you're using paid advertising to get clients, you know, one of the big things that people don't factor in to their business is the actual cost that is associated with acquiring a customer. And when you ask them to increase their prices, I've typically been met with resistance around that from advising thousands of clients. But implementing a setup fee is a quick way just to get that little bit of bump and, you know, to kind of help burden those costs of acquiring a customer. And the second reason is it allows us to create urgency using a fast action bonus. So a fast action bonus is when it stops us having to go back and forth, because going back and forth costs you time and energy and money. Every time you call a prospect back, that's taking the time from speaking to another new prospect. And what you want to let them know is that you could drop the setup fee or you could reduce it if you get them to make a decision now. And as a backup, you can give them 24 hours if they truly need to speak with their partner. So let me just unpack how this works. So I'll just show you what you say. Well, Mike, as I mentioned, there is a $2,000 setup. However, I've found that those who are able to make decisions quickly, be decisive, and take action are my best types of clients. So for that reason, if we can get you all sorted and set up on this call today, I will waive the $2,000 setup off your investment. So just the $2,000 per month. How does this sound, Mike? Can we go ahead and get this all set up for you? Or instead of saying that you'll waive it entirely, I am willing to bring that down to $1,000 as a initial setup cost off your investment today, if we can go ahead and get this sorted now. How does all this sound? Can we go ahead and get this set up for you, Mike? Then you do not say a word, because think about it. Up until now, we haven't asked them for any feedback when we stated our price. So we've kind of gone on to justify there might be a bit of temperature checking throughout this when you've mentioned the different price points. I might say, oh, that one sounds good, or whatever it might be. And then after we say our piece, we just shut up and we let them speak. Now, then they're going to say, well, how does that work? Or what are the next steps? Or yeah, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Okay, great. We take Visa, MasterCard, or Amex. Which card would you like to use today? Collect their details, and then boom, the deal is done. And what you must note is that that is assuming that there is no objections. All right. So when people respond with an objection, then you're going to be continuing to the objection handling modules and looking at breaking down each different objection and handling those. And one other thing that I'll note is that if you're not collecting payment details over the phone and you need to get like a contract signed, and it's incredibly important for you to do this next step. And that is what I call button down the sale. And it's the lock close, where you really firm the sale up and you lock it down and you basically remove any air from the bag and make sure that it's rock solid. And the way that you do that is you don't want to make sure, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that the prospect isn't just saying yes because they're trying to avoid confrontation. And this is what a lot of people will do. So if we have to send them out paperwork, we're not going to be able to get their credit card details over the phone. So we'd say, okay, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get out this paperwork to you. Now, are you absolutely serious Or are you just saying yes not to hurt my feelings, Mike? I can take a no as well as I can take a yes. I'm super excited for you. I think this is going to be a great fit, but just shoot me straight, as I don't want to waste anyone's time here. Mike, is there any reason that you change your mind about doing this? You can shoot me straight. I just don't want to waste anyone's time. Prospect, no, we're all good. Okay, great. Look, I'll send over the paperwork to you now. If you could please get this back to me by 4:30 today. Is that all good? Okay. So there's a few things going on here. So when we send out paperwork, we're not sending it out and saying, hey, I'll send out the paperwork if you could get it back to me. That's not what we're saying. Because when are they going to get it back to me? Whenever the hell they want. And whenever the hell they want is never. So you need to lock this thing down, and you want to say, awesome, I'm going to send out this paperwork over to you now. If you could please get this back to me by 4:30 p.m. today. Okay? Yes, that's fine. I'll get to it right now and get it across to you. Excellent. There must be a specific time frame. Not by the end of the day. It must be 4:30, 4:45, 5 p.m., 5:30, whatever it might be. It must be a specific time, because that gives that prospect a mental countdown time. Like, I've got to get to that thing for Sudbury. I've got to get that paperwork back. I've got to get that paperwork back. He said 4:30 and it's 4 o'clock now. And it gets done. Things with timelines get done. And that's why we want to lock that thing down and really, zip lock it and make it completely tight that it's not going to just go into Never Never Land. Part 12. Firm up and lock down. Now, what you want to do is, if you've gotten the sale over the telephone or if you've sent out paperwork, you want to call them and congratulate them on the investment. Make them feel excited about the decision and confirm that they have made the right decision and are on the way to achieving their goals, because they are. We're only selling to people that we're a great fit for and that we can really help. Congratulate them on their investment. Now I'd like to explain what the next steps are moving forward, Mike. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to get an email, you're going to get this information, explain whatever the process is that's going to happen for you in your business and what that onboarding procedure looks like. And don't leave anything to chance. Explain it all. Don't just move on, the deal is done, you've gotten the credit card details, and then you're moving on to the next one. You want to lock this thing down and firm it up and make sure that that prospect does not have any buyer's remorse and they understand in vivid detail what the next steps are and what's going to happen next. Mike, congratulations and welcome aboard. You've made a great decision today about moving forwards and really taking action and reaching your goals that we've all laid out. And I'm really excited and just to see what it is that you can achieve. So I just want to congratulate you on that. This is a really important part, and it's what the amateurs leave out, but the pros always do it. You want to make people feel fantastic about buying, right? This is the last step. That's the last thing in really the 8-figure samurai sword sales script, is really locking it up and firming it down. Don't be that guy or that girl that gets a sale and just moves on and just expects that person to get the emails and the welcome emails and that's it. This is a connection that you've just had. And when a sale is closed, that's when there is a transfer of value. You can't help anybody get the results that your business delivers if you don't sell them. So this is something that you must be proud about. You must be proud of this sales process. And I need you to drop any negative stigma around being a salesperson and about this whole process. This is a really positive and a fantastic thing to be able to go out into your marketplace and help people solve these problems that might be crippling them and making them feel horrible about themselves and affecting all other areas of your life. By going through this and having a quick and a guided structure of a call and a template, you're able to take that prospect down a path and lead them to really becoming a client and helping them solve their problems. So that is the script. Let me jump into the last part of the training right now, and we'll dive into that and we'll look at the action steps and we'll wrap this thing up. So what we just ran through was the exact script, and you can find that in the resources section of this module and really go in there and start to edit it and start to customize it. And that leads us to the action items. So the very first step is to customize the sales script and make it specifically applicable to your business, what it is that you're selling, and go ahead and fill that in. It's not about, I don't want you to read that and just think that you can go in there and just without a script and just sell from the seam of your pants. That's not how this thing works. I don't care how good you are. You need to use the script. You need to customize it, and you need to make it applicable to your business. Then you need to rehearse and you need to train daily, not once a month, once a week, none of that stuff. Every single day, even when this pitch gets so comfortable for you, you still need to be training daily and listening to calls and seeing where things become unbuttoned and where you could have, turned a little bit to the left on that call and you could have handled it this way next time. And the way that you do that is by listening to sales calls. You must listen to your sales calls. Pick at least one call every single day and listen to it and take notes. And then modify, pivot, and adapt your pitch where you can see that there are holes. Or if you keep getting to this particular part in your pitch and it keeps on coming undone, or there's way more questions about that, you need to preempt those questions and you need to bring them up before the prospect even asks them. And then the last point is really committing to mastery. This sales aspect is the key. If you don't get this, nothing else in this entire program is going to do anything for you, because you can generate all the leads that you want, but if you don't know how to convert them into customers, there's no transfer of value, and you will never build a business because you won't have any clients paying you any money. So this is really an integral part of the whole system. Because when you're looking at the funnel and looking at my ads are working, okay, the funnel's working because I'm getting strategy sessions at a good cost. And then the last thing is, are you converting those strategy sessions into customers? And when you're problem shooting, like those 3 different areas, are the ads working? Yep. Am I getting leads? Yep. Am I closing them? No. And then that's the pitch. And that's where you need to have a look. Or just the same as you might be like, are the ads working? No. Like I'm not getting a good cost per lead. Therefore the leads aren't working, but I've still, any leads that I do get, I do close, right? So it's just, the most important part though is that conversion of a lead into a customer, and you need to commit to mastering this thing. It can't be like, hey, I'll spend a little attention of it and then I'll just move on, or this is okay. This is something that you need to constantly bang on and really just forge yourself as someone who is really good at communicating in a compelling way and following this script and really committing to mastering this whole process. So they're the action items. Get to work, and I will see you in the next video.